Right, ladies and gentlemen, you join me here today at Aston Park Fisheries in Sheffield, where I'm going to be fishing the BMFFSS feeder. It's a method feeder. I copied the Embed feeder from Map simply because I didn't have time to wait. Rumour has it that tomorrow is the day they hit the shops, so I will be purchasing. But this thing has been catching me loads and loads of carp, massive carp as well. And the concept is exactly the same. It's got a little tiny groove there, and all I do is I push a float stop in it, and it acts in a similar sort of way as the Embed feeder does. It just holds the hook length still. It improves keeping the hook bait within the actual feed area of the feeder, and it also increases hookup chances. It's a theory that I once had, and putting it to test at places like Allcroft and here at Aston, it's amazing for big carp. Then it got me thinking, a very short hook length would be good for very finicky fish, skimmers and F1's. And Lanta is packed with F1's. So today, I want to put it to test. I've got the perfect rod for the job as well, which is a Preston 7-foot Wandzee. It's the monster range, really light. It is absolutely tiny. A little tiny 320 reel on it as well, loaded with 6-pound sinking feeder mono. And then all I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be fishing just a small 4-inch hook length with a band on, a banded 4mm or a 6mm, and some fishery pellets. If it says fishery pellets, guys, just use them. They're a couple of quid a bag. And also, I'm going to show you how to make those a little less boring. From Revolution Baits, got some Rainbow Crunch, and all that is different coloured flexer additive that you can just put into mix. And in doing that, I've got some fishery micros. Now, guys, if it says fishery pellets only, just use them. They're a couple of quid a bag, and half at a time. You only need half a bag, and it'll go in your bait bag, and it'll do you again for the next time you come. I've got some fishery 4mm pellets, so exactly the same. They can go in a band, and I've also got some C-nut randoms from Revolution Baits. So there's some 6 and some 4mm in there, and they've just been soaking in C-nut additive, giving them a nice flavour, a nice texture. And I've also got some Revolution Baits Rainbow Crunch. Now, if you're using fishery pellets or your own, add this. It just gives it that fleck, makes it different, and if fish are used to fishery pellets day in, day out, it just gives it that little bit of a extra different approach. Fish might just think, that's very different to what I'm used to. Might just give them that little push they need to start feeding on it. So very simple, not a busy side tray at all. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get it set up, show you how to do your micros, and I'll catch some fish. Right, fishery pellets, really easy to do. So get a pellet wetter. This is the Superior one from Preston Innovations. I know there's loads of different strainers out there and everything. This is the one I use, it's always been great. And back to what I was saying earlier about when you open your pellets, if you're not going to use them all on day, just chuck them what's left in your bag and they'll do for next time you come. And that's exactly what I've done here. So get a little tiny bag clip like that, that'll help keep it shut. And all you want to do is just want to empty them into your pellet wetter. So that's what's left of them ones. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to top it with a few more because I know I'm going to need some. And it's that easy that I know I can do some more later on. And I've got to do too many to start with. So close that back up, secure it shut. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zip this back up now and get a shake as well. Now when micros are manufactured from any company, if you put your hand underneath you'll feel bits falling out. Just try not to have too much of those little tiny broken bits of micros in there. Little fish start thinking they can feed on them, and you have a peg full of them little tiny blade roach and what have you. So that's it. You want to get your pellet wetter tub full of water and just dunk it in like that. Just make sure you get a couple of them, submerge it, and then you want to leave it about 20-30 seconds. On a day like today, soaking Strettons as opposed to Coppins pellets, so I'm leaving that a little bit longer. And all that does now is that pellet wetter is keeping all those pellets condensed in one area in that bag. They're going to soak in all that water. And after 20-30 seconds, you can leave it as long as you like. The rule used to be 1 mil 1 minute, 2 mil 2 minutes, and so on and so forth. But it means that I ain't got to soak them into a really mushy pellet. They can just take on enough water so that when I take them out of the pellet wetter, they can still be absorbing what water's left on them. That way, if they dry out through session, I can just put a bit of water on them and carry on, no problem. So, once they've taken on a bit of water, take them out. You just want to shake off the excess. if you don't shake it off, they will sit in there, and even though it's a mesh bag and it can drip off, they will sit there and take on just whatever water's around them. You just want to get off as much as you can, but you don't want to be doing this for half an hour either, getting them all completely dry. So there you go. And all they do now is, they'll sit in that bag on my side tray. If you've got a tray that's vented, like I've got a Preston Ventilite tray, they can sit on my tray and just drip out through the mesh in the tray, or I can just put them on my peg behind me, and they can just strain off whatever water's left in the bag, and then half an hour later, when I'm ready for all in or chucking in, it means that they can go straight into a tub and they're ready to use straight away. So get these on my box, and I'll show you what I do just to give them that little bit of an edge. Right, so you're all set up, you're ready for your session, you're about to chuck it out. It's getting to that last sort of 5-10 minutes where, you know, your pellet's going to be about ready. If you mixed up any ground baits or anything, depending on what you're doing on day. We're only doing method feeder fishing today, but this is that time when, you know, you want to start getting your bait ready. So it's good to get it done nice and early, so you're not going into sort of fishing time or match time waiting for your bait to be prepared. So these are my pellets I did earlier on, and they're sitting on my tray here, and it's vented so water can just drip through and air can get to them from underneath. That's the important bit. So what you want to do is you just want to empty them straight into a pot. Now, pellet wetter comes with a pellet wetter container, what you dunk them in. For the sake of having both out, I just use that. I can go down there to dry, and then my pellets are there. Still a bit damp, but they're going to be taking on a bit more of that water while they do so. And then all you want to do now is you want to get your rainbow crunch. You don't want to just pour it all in. You want to just get your pellets, just put a sprinkling in like that, not too much, because it's just to give it a fleck of colour, just to stand out a bit compared to what they're used to. And all you want to do is get a nice good old mix up. And again, that rainbow crunch will also take on a bit of water, and it means that you've got a nice pellet mix, and it's just broken down. Don't know if you can see that, I'll show it you again in a bit anyway, but it's just broken down a bit by flecks of yellow, green and red, and it's just something different for them to go over. So if they're normally used to just going over beds and beds of micro pellets from matches being potted in, it just means that they can just home in on something a bit different within it. It just might give them that extra bit of a curveball that they need just to turn around and come back over your feed. So that's your pellets. Got my 4 mils there, and then what I've got here is, get my cloth, I've got some Revolution baits randoms. Now when you buy micro pellets from Revolution baits, you get a free tub of these in each bag. It's absolute value for money. And what I want to do is, I want to be fishing with a 4 mil. So I just want to have a scramble through them, just pick out a nice 4 mil pellet that I know is going to be ideal for band, like that one. And I can do it, but because they've been soaking and they're flavoured, they are a bit oily and they smell wicked. And because of that, I'm just going to use a pellet bander. So straight on with your band like that, nice and easy. Now your feeder's ready to be loaded up. So you get your micro pellets, all you want to do is, you just want to put a bed in first. Not a big bed either, because after everything's flowered over on bottom at lake, that's pretty much what you're going to be left with, that initial offering of pellets. You want to get your float stop, or your stop should I say, push it into the frame of the feeder, bring your hook bait round like that, and all you want to do is, you just want to cap it off. Put a few pellets in your hand, and you just want to push them on like that. Really easy, not a complicated job at all. And all you want to do is just hand it down. Now that, you can pile it up, you can double skin it, triple skin it, use a mould if you want to. But from underwater filming, all it does, it adds far too much feed into the swim, that when it comes off the feeder, it's not in the focus area of your hook bait. I want my hook bait to be in that focus area, because that feeder tray, is what the fish empty when they take that first initial inhale. Now, F1's in here, really small. I'm using a medium banjo. A small one would make sense, but because there's so many fish in here, I know they're going to be feeding on it pretty ravenously. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get chucked out. Also got my Brazem Yellow Enhancer spray. Just give it a quick squirt like that, and it's ready to go. And hopefully, should be into a fish pretty quick. Let's see how we get on. Right, so going out on that first cast, you want to make sure that you're not punching it too hard. You're just giving it enough to get out there, and you've got to remember you're fishing with a 7-foot rod, or whatever rod you're using, but I'm fishing with a 7-foot rod today as opposed to a 14. A different feeder, a very small reel, and I'm fishing at a very short distance, so I'm just going to give it enough to get out there. Like that. Hit the clip, perfect. So I am inches off the island, where is exactly where I want to be. Get my rod straight down on my rest, and then I can tighten up to it. It's imperative on that first cast you get it pretty much on the spot where you're going to be fishing majority of the day. Now my feeder's in, I'm going to be looking for any liners, see if there's any early fish, but more importantly, I'm going to be waiting, knowing that my hook length is still within all those loose offerings of pellets when they start to flower open over on my feeder. So because I'm fishing on a bit of a slope, any little knockbacks, I'm not going to strike at them. That could be fish feeding on feeder and just nudging it just down that slope with the nose, just pushing it. Because when they do feed, F1's and Carp, they do like to go in and just give it a good rustle with the nose in anything that they're feeding on. So I'm going to ignore those. It's either a sharp drop back and it won't tighten up and it's coming towards me I need to lift into, or rod will just rip round and I'll just lift into a fish. But anything that's giving me indications that they're just feeding, I know that those fish, they could knock my feeder back a few inches or even a foot. I know that my hook length and my hook bait is still going to be within the focus area of the feeder with whatever remaining micro pellets are in there. So now it's just a sit and watch game. There's plenty of fish in swim. I'm getting loads of liners already, which is a good sign. And all I want to be doing is just waiting. That's all I want to be doing, nothing else. Don't need to tamper with rod, don't need to twitch my line or do anything else. Feeder's got to stay nice and still. I'm not fishing with a tight line either. It's not slack, but I'm just connected to my feeder enough that I've got a small bend in my rod, and that way I can see any dropbacks if I get any. Right, so I'm going to come back in on that one. So because I've not had a quick fish in that first 5 minutes, what I am going to do now is introduce stopwatch. That means I can time bites between fish and, more importantly, how long I leave my feeder out there for. So I want to line my feeder, put my hook bait in it, a few micros on top, get your Brazem Yellow Enhancer, give it a squirt, get back out again. So again, minimise it time you're on the bank. You want to get your feeder back out as quickly and as efficiently as you can. So straight down on that rest, there we go. Now that's fishing. What I'm doing is slowly tighten up to it. I know that hitting that clip and bringing my rod up to 12 o'clock, I'm not going to have a lot of line left out there in water. There we go. So now I'm going to start my stopwatch. I want to put it right next to me on my tray, and I can just look at it from the tip of my rod. I can just look over at my stopwatch and then back at my tip. There we go. Fish on straight away. So 8 seconds that one. Ah, it's come off. But you can see how quick that one were. So exactly the same principle again. Load up my feeder. Put my stop into my feeder, like so. And then my hook bait just sits nicely on top. And just a few pellets, just to cap it off like that. Nice and simple. And then what I'll do every 3 or 4 casts, I'll give me feeder a squirt of that Brazem Enhancer spray. There we go, straight on your rest. So drop it right down, fish on straight away. That was, I didn't even get a chance to start my stopwatch. That's how quick it is. See, these BMFFSS method feeders that I've chucked up, which is just the Embed feeder, if you want to go off that concept, it's exactly the same. This is how effective they are for F1's. And today is just a test day really for these little fish, because using them for carp, they're brilliant. But a lot of people in comments have said that they'll be perfect for F1's. And now he's a nice chunky F1. He's unnetted himself in net. I'll look in a minute. But plenty of them are doing £100 bags on here, no problem. So I'm chucking back. One up my net because they don't count. and get back in for another one. Cast out, hit the clip, straight down onto your rest, and we're fishing. Right, so I'll start my stopwatch when I know my feeder is fishing. So just reset it. There we go. Stopwatch issues. Right, just wait for that next one. There we go. Fish on. So 1 minute 30 that one. So we've had quicker fish, but need to make sure that we get rid of them as regular as that. It's a very small F1, that one, but it's a welcome one nonetheless. Little tiny F1 in. Get your marker, cast out, hit your clip, perfect. Rod straight down onto your rest. Again, this chop on water, it's not to be ignored because it will actually help the line sink. And all you want to do is just tighten up to it. So 6 seconds in, we're already getting indications already. Another one. Just need to be watching that tip all the time. 13 seconds in, that's a drop back, a little one. So fish are already nudging that feeder straight away back down that bank. And there we go. 20 seconds in, that fish. Only a small F1 again. But this is just how fast it can be when it's going well. So you change into a 6mm pellet from a 4, has not harmed a thing. They're a little bit more confident when it comes to taking it, and they just hammer it that little bit harder. So you can go back in there. And then what I'm going to do now is, but keeping nice and efficient, you don't want to be rushing it, but you just want to be nice and efficient. So get your feeder loaded back up again, pull your stop back down to where you want it, push it into your feeder, swing your hook bait over like that, and then just repeat the process. Cap it off. Bit of Brazem Yellow Enhancer, give it a squirt, and just same again. Know your marker, think about where it's going, not too hard. You just want to give it a nice, beautiful. Hit your clip, down to your rest. And like I've just said before, that chop will actually help sink your line, reset your stopwatch. So I want to be on my tip of my stopwatch straight away. So 20-second fish before, I'm already getting liners straight away. There's a toe on. There we go. 20 seconds in that fish. Feels like a better F1. You can see how these pole anglers on here, such as Steve Forster and Jack, do massive weights, these F1s. When you get them going and you get them in area, you can absolutely sack up on them. They just feed like piranhas all day. See, feeders out of that one as well. Absolutely amazing. A decent F1 in, probably just under a pound in, like 12-ounce fish. They're what you want. Don't want to see camera anyway, that's for sure. That's what you want. Plenty of them. Scooping back in. Perfect. That wind's picked up a bit, so I won't cast. I'm just chucking my rod down to the left, just so I'm not letting wind take too much line off me, that's all. Oh, fish on. That was 2 seconds, that. 2-second fish. It's only a small F1 again. That's what we're after. But that's what I mean by how quick these fish can come. Which is exactly what we're after. Yeah, I'm not dragging him in. Very light gear, small rod. It's doing everything I need it to. There we go. And these are sort of fish, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some bigger fish in here, but these are sort of fish that they're doing all big weights on. Just bags and bags of these. Okay, there we go. So again, probably about 10 ounce in, not a big fish at all. But that's what we're after. get him back. And here another one. See, I have a lot of confidence in pellets, even after you've caught fish on them. I don't think there's any major need to change them, unless it's either come off or it's just destroyed. But a washed out pellet like that, that's just lost all its sharp edges, tends to catch a lot of fish for me, that. So back in, Brazem Yellow, hit a square. Again, probably doing it every 3 or 4 casts, that. Bit of wind on today in a tow. I don't want that sort of attractant drifting off into someone else's swim. Straight onto my rest, start my stopwatch. So you see now how quick that last fish came. Again, not taking it into account, just calling it a quick fish. We have been waiting 3 minutes for a bite since starting and not had any, so that was a really quick bite then. Fish on again. Couldn't even tighten up to that one. I think it was 19 seconds, that. Again, another one of them little tiny pasty F1's. Get him back in. Right, so pellets done weight. Let's get my bander. You can do this any other time with your fingers, but if you've got slimy hands from attractants and fish, just makes it a bit easier just to use your bander, get your pellet on. So line your feeder, put your stop in. Just a layer of pellets on top. Don't need to mound it up, don't need to go mad. Just nice and efficient. Don't rush anything. Get on that spot every time. Come back to your rest. Rod down. Reset your stopwatch. And just tighten up. And you're just waiting for a bite pretty much straight away. So I'm already got a bit of line on top of water, but it's sinking. There we go. So 10 seconds in. Just waiting for a fish straight away. There we go. Bite straight away. And that was 17 seconds in that time. Feels like a better F1 as well. Again, I'm not hammering it. Very short rod. So a lot of backbone of this rod starts here. So I'm using that top half of rod to play my fish. I don't need to drag it in at all. Just take it nice and steady. Don't want to be bending rod in half. Got a nice loose drag as well, because I ain't got a lot of rod to bend when it comes to fish running, so I need to have a drag that's just loose enough to take some line if I need to, if it needs to. Definitely a better F1 anyway, that's for sure. This is what we're after. Oh, carp, little mirror carp. There we go. A better fish in. I ain't got my braces on her out, so I'm gonna get absolutely soaking wet now. But that, when he decides to chill, is what we're after. As well as MF1's. Little mirror carp, that one. Probably a couple of pound, not a massive fish. But he came with spacer just a few seconds off at cast. We're dunking back in. So amongst those F1's in here, those little mirrors and commons that are knocking about, they're another good reason white weights do so well. There we go. Just counteracting on that wind. So stop my stopwatch, reset it, and I'm watching for a bite even as I'm tightening up to it. You see how quick that fish came before? They're pretty much there waiting for the feed to go in. So I want to make sure that I am on the ball with watching that tip. Getting bites all the time, even now as I'm tightening up. There we go. So now 22 seconds in, just waiting for another bite. There we go. 33 seconds in that one. Bit of a run of this fish. Because it's a very short rod as well. It's really quick just to shift it side to side to play your fishing. Really versatile rod. It's absolutely perfect for this style of fishing. Just under the peg here, look. Little F1. Oh, spot on him. Even got a few instant wind scales on him. Well, he's a better one, he's what we've been after. Probably about a pound him. Probably just a pound I'll give him. Really quick fish, that one. Right, this time, I know I'm a massive fan of the short hook length, but this time I'm just going to change it and leave it dangling as a full 4-inch hook length. Just see if it makes any difference. So exactly the same principle again. I'm just going to put my hook bait in as I have been normally, like you would any other time method feeder fishing. And then straight back out to that same spot, same building up a nice bed of pellets over there now. Don't want to change anything. Actually got a bite there, not cast. There we go. So tighten up. That's fish on. I've not even got my stopwatch started. 4 seconds, I think that one were. So that's on a 4-inch hook length, not pressed into the housing of the feeder. Only a small F1 again. But this is what we've come for. There we go. We get another good size. Again, that is what we are after. Get a really good weight to these. Oh, you disgorge you. There we go. So again, probably about 12 ounce in. Not a massive fish, but when they come that fast, you can talk sort of 5 of them for £2 every 20 seconds or so. When you get them going, it's really good sport. So again, not going to hook up my feeder, my hook length up, not going to pin it into the frame at feeder. Just going to do that. A couple of casts have gone by, so I want to get my enhancer, spray that on. Straight over the top, perfect. I want to be on my rest, with a nice slack line enough so I can tighten up, reset my stopwatch, and I am literally connected to my feeder pretty much straight away. Liner, straight away, another one. So I'm literally casting onto heads of fish, and they're still feeding. And it's really shallow as well. I think a fish has ran straight towards me. Yeah, it has. 18 seconds in, and I think that had picked up about 15 seconds, that one. Again, only a small fish, a little F1, but that's what we're here for. And you always fly straight over this end at lake, where they end up feeling 10 times bigger than what they are. There we go. Oh, he's off where I've got him. So again, another F1. About 10 ounce again, that one, only a small one. But perfect example of just how well using a little tiny method on a lake like Lanta here at Aston Park Fisheries can go. It's absolutely spot on. Doesn't seem to be any more beneficial for F1s. Reset my stopwatch. That's on, and I am 3 seconds in. 3 seconds. Only a small fish, but oh, I'm not going to try it. And he's unhooked himself as well. Little tiny F1 him. Is he an F1? Yeah, little tiny F1. Ravenous little fish. That's what we're after anyway. Because this is a forgotten way of fishing that not a lot of people do anymore on little tiny venues like this. If you go up right gear, little tiny rod, little baby reel like this, you can still get that same presentation every time. So stopwatch, start that. Now I want to be tightening up to it. There we go. And whilst ever I'm tightening up to my feeder, just always watching me tip. I had a bang then straight away. There we go. So that's connected to my feeder now, nice and tight. Fish on. 25 seconds that one. And they always fly towards this bank. And you think you've got a fish on that's half size what you actually end up with. So, no, it's small anyway. This is working an absolute treat. There we go. So I brought kids up the other day just practicing with pole and absolutely bagged up in edge. Just fishing down the edge. Yeah, another 10-12 ounce fish. Right, whilst I'm catching loads of F1s, I thought I'd talk you through my setup. Nice and simple, not complicated. This is a 7-foot Preston Innovations Monster Wandzee. Probably the lightest rod I've ever used in my life, and it's tiny. 7 foot, so it's only a few inches taller than I am, and that is a Preston 320 reel. It's the inertia range. I bought the rod and reel not long back to do a video up on a different lake here, just to see what it's like, and it works an absolute treat. Chucking 11, 13 metres to these islands on these lakes down at Aston Park. It balances absolutely spot on. A reel any bigger than that, the winding of it, it is balanced, but it just interferes with how short the rod is. A nice small reel like that one, it works brilliantly in unison with the rod. Now, 023 mainline, which is sinking feeder mono. Never had a problem with it since the day it came out. Absolutely perfect fishing line. I've got some 017 reflow power hook length with a size 18 MCMB hook. Now I've been using a 16 as well today. Chopping and changing between the two, 18, I seem to have a better catch rate and a better hook up rate, so I've stuck with an 18. I've got a small band on there, which I've been using a 4 and a 6mm pellet in. If you use a medium band or a large, the 6mm pellets, they could quite easily be pushed out on bites from your fish. So I've gone with a small band just to keep it that bit snug. That is a medium banjo feeder. It's a 30 gram one, and it is one that I've done with the BMFFSS cutout in there. I did want to try it for F1s today, and I have done by pushing a float stop into the feeder, and it works. But I have had so much more fish just by using a 4-inch hook length. Lots more responsive. I don't think it's a shorter hook length for F1s that reduces that finicky feeding pattern that they've got. I think it's how quickly they move away from feed. I don't think it's how short it is. So a 4-inch hook length is ideal. 6-inch, I feel like I'm sitting for too long without bite. 6-inch, I'm giving them too much line for them to eject that bait. 4-inch, it's just enough for them to pick it up, and as they move off, they hook straight away. And that's pretty much it on the rod and reel front. Really light, very tiny rod. You can see that in there. Really tiny rod. It weighs absolutely nothing. And for chucking these short distances, a little tiny rod just to flick it is perfect. Anything bigger than that, like a 10 or 11 foot rod, you'd be able to do it. But until you've used this, you won't know how easy and how comfortable this is to use, just chucking short distances. Now, onto the bait. As I showed you earlier, Fishery Micros, and all I've done is I've put some Revolution Baits Rainbow Crunch colouring in there. It's just them. Add it into your micros. Preferably I like to do it after I've wet them. So let them stand for a good 20 minutes. When you pour them into your bait tub, chuck them in then. Gives it a nice fleck of colour in there. Looks absolutely spot on when it's on bottom as well. and it's just something different. When fishing used to see micros all day, every day, same fishery pellets. When you can't bring your own and use your own, it's best just trying to give yourself an edge by using an additive or a bit of colour. You can use some dye if you want, put some of them on and then add it in. But this stuff, it's the Revolution Baits Brazem Yellow Enhancer Dye. I spray this on my method feeder pretty much every cast, and I get so many fish by doing it. Now, this isn't the only reason why I'm catching fish. It's a mixture of how I do my mix, how I present my hook bait, and what the fish want. But I have gone 10 deliberate casts without putting this on, and I'm waiting longer for bites. Give that a spray afterwards, go back in, couple of fish on trot, and they seem to come a lot quicker. So definitely 100%, if you're going to get some of that, spray it on your pellets, on your feeder, before you cast out. But if you want to take the lid off and just pour it on some of your pellets as well when you're mixing them up, then do it. Gives it a bit more colour as well. So that's the Rainbow Crunch. And then all I've been doing is, I've been putting a 6 or a 4mm pellet on the hook. Now, when you buy micro pellets from Revolution Baits, I've gone for the Little Bees micros in sea nut flavoured. And you get a free pot of randoms. And they are exactly what they say on the tin. They're just a pot of random sized pellets. So there's 4s, 6s and 8mm in there. I've been using the 4s and 6s on the band, and I've been catching a lot of fish on them as well. So just gives you that bit of an edge, something a bit different. They're ready flavoured, and they're different to the fishery pellets that they're used to seeing as well. So just a bit different. So that's all them. All available on Revolution Baits website. If you go on, it's the easiest website to order from. You wouldn't believe it. Go on there, you put everything into a basket, you can go in afterwards, check it's what you want, and just pay. You can have it delivered, or if you live local to Bait Shed where we have it all prepared and bagged up, you can just pop over and pick it up. It's absolutely no problem at all. It's amazing stuff. And today, catching all these F1s on this, so easy. So definitely get on there and have a look. We've got a Facebook page as well. You can see common results from all our anglers on there doing really well. When it comes to method feeder fishing, you can go pretty much anywhere and chuck a method out and you'll catch a carp. F1s can be quite finicky on any method. So I've made habit today of coming here, getting on Lanta on peg 2, which is not one of the easiest pegs on here, and just seeing how I do fishing over there. And so far, I've had loads and loads of fish. So I'm going to carry on, I'm going to catch some more fish, and hopefully end up with quite a few more. So I will finish my cup of tea, and I'll be back with you shortly. There we go. Bit off that time, but I'll leave it there because that loose feed's only making its way down that bank. Reset my stopwatch. Now I'm focused on my tip straight away. Even tightening up to that feeder, I want to be watching that tip for a bite straight away. Because I'm not double skinning it and putting loads of feed on top of that feeder, my hook bait within seconds of that feeder going in is going to be presented ready for a bite. So I want to be ready and waiting for that fish straight away. There we go. 20 seconds in. Really, really fast fishing. And as I've shown, it's not just F1s, I've had that nice carp as well. It's just how well it can go when you get it right, you stick to the right timings. The baby F1 in, probably about 6 ounce that one. Excuse me. There we go. So reset my stopwatch, tightening up to my feeder, but keeping a constant bend in that tip all the time as I'm doing it. Bite then, liners. There we go. So I'm now in connection with my feeder. 15 seconds in, drop back, drop back. 20 seconds in. So just nudging it down that bank again. So I know there's fish on it. Just need to pick up that loose offering with hook on it, make the way off, and that's when tip will wrap round. 35 seconds in. There we go. 35 seconds on the dot. See, it's as they're attacking that feeder and just moving off down that shelf, it's then, when they're just running out of loose offerings, that they've pretty much only got your hook bait left, and they're just snapping it up. These are lovely fish, like Ghosty F1. He's come on hooked. So again, in probably about 12 ounce again. They're a lot thicker than what they look. They're really thick fish. That's exactly what we're after. There we go. Perfect. The more often you cast in and out as well, the more you'll notice just how much pressure you need to apply for each cast. Really helps with casting short distances. 10 seconds in, fish on. 10 seconds in, fish on. I've not even finished properly tightening up to my feeder either. And just play my rod down, keep it nice and low. And when I know my fish is pretty much in front of me, I can just lift my rod up and dunk my net under it. Exactly the same, just same size fish. Loads of them in it, absolutely packed with them. Absolutely mint. Right, straight back out on the money, down onto my rest. Stopwatch, restart it. And whilst I'm watching that tip, I've got my stopwatch in my left eye here. 8 seconds in, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Connected to my feeder now. Liner, straight away. 22 seconds. Thought that were going to go then. 25. If you know roughly about where your bites are going to come and at what time you've been getting them, it gives you a good idea of how quickly you want to get settled. That's a bite. 40 seconds in. And then when you know roughly at what time your fish are coming, it's a good time to start making sure you've really powered into getting your rod down and settled, and your feeder out there and your line sunk. Another good one. So back, that's my marker. There we go. That was a good cast. Straight down, reset my watch. I'm watching for bites again, just as I'm tightening up to my feeder. "13 seconds in, not a bite. Again, just plucking away at feeder. All they do with these F1's is just taking quick mouthfuls off at feeder and then pellets and then moving off. That's where you get these little shivers on tip all the time. "32 seconds in, 35 seconds in that one. Feels like a really small fish, this one. It is a small fish, but it's a fish nonetheless. Little tiny baby F1 him, really small fish. Little tiny goldfish F1 that one, bit of gold on him. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to chuck him back. I'm going to make up some more micros and I'm going to get a brew. I'll join you back in a minute. Right, this is pretty much my side tray, so nice and simple. Fishery 4 mils over there. Revolution bait seen up. Randoms. Got my Rainbow Crunch. This is the Brazem Yellow Enhancer from Revolution Baits. Can't go anywhere without it. And then Discordia, pellet bander, stopwatch, and a couple of stops there just in case I need any more. But when it comes to doing my pellets, I'll show you what we do. So I've just soaked up some more. Absolutely rinsed that last lot. So I've done another half a bag. Because we're chucking out really often, it's worth just getting plenty more done. Like I said at the beginning, you don't want to chuck loads together because if you don't end up using them, then you're just going to end up chucking them all away. But after a couple of hours fishing and about a quarter of a bag, I know I'm probably going to carry on again for another few more hours yet. So I've done about similar amount, just a few more. I'm just going to put some more of my Rainbow Crunch in. So all it is, it's just flecks of green, red and yellow. And all you want to do is just sprinkle a few in. And I don't mean loads, because you just want it to be a fleck. And by the time you've mixed it all in to your pellet mix like this, you just want it so we're in every sort of square inch He's probably got 5 or 6 flecks. That is spot on. Perfect. It's what I want. It's just something a bit different to fishery pellets. By now, in these lakes, the F1's, carp, all the fish will know what a bed and micros looks like, and it just looks like that on bottom. And if they can zone in on particular colours and references like that, then they know full well that it probably relates to danger, as in past they've fed over it and they've been dragged out of the swim. So this just adds a little bit more colour, a little bit of a optional extra for them to zone in on, and it's just something else for them to feed on as well, something different. And comes in a little pot. You get plenty in, really cheap as well for what they are compared to some different alternatives on market. And I think the colour choice is spot on as well. I think they are the sort of primary colours you need to be looking at when it comes to underwater, especially murky water like it is today. It's got loads of colour in it. There's a wind on, and all these lakes, they sort of feed into each other as well. So you're getting plenty of colour going through all lakes. So anything that you can do that gives you an edge, make it be something colourful, because other than flavour, it's the only other thing that's going to be the difference between catching fish and not. And that, mixed with the Brazem Yellow Enhancer on a little feeder, we have 4mm pellet, absolutely deadly. Catching me loads of fish. When I finish my cup of tea, I've done my pellets, just going to let them sit again for another 5-10 minutes. I want to get back out, but this is my peg. If I look square on where I am, look, this is my peg. And if I just look straight up, in between them reeds and that reed there, that's where I'm fishing. And that sign there, that post on that little sign, that's my marker, and that's where I'm getting all my F1's from. That open water I spoke about earlier is just here. I just see winds coming in on both sides of the channel. If you look in front of that island, we've got some really calm water. And that was just another option where there could have been some fish. But like I said before on here, they do feed really well when there's a chop on. So I'm going to carry on fishing there, catching loads of fish. And yeah, I'll get back to you shortly. Perfect. I'm just waiting again for that first bite. So just watching my tip while I'm tightening up to it. There we go. 10 seconds in. Bit of a drop back then. Loads of fish over that feeder, just knocking it back down that bank all the time. And as soon as I get to my pellet and all those loose offerings, which is only a matter of time, that's when, there we go. That's when the tip will just go wrapping around. 30 seconds in that one. So again, giving it a rest for 15 minutes, not had a negative impact on my swim whatsoever. That fish has come straight down in front of my peg. Not a bad F1, it's not giving me towel. There we go. Again, a little tiny Cornish pasty, about 10 ounce in. Get him back. There we go. Straight onto your rest. Reset your stopwatch, and I'm just watching for bites as I'm tightening up again. I'm getting them straight away now. Yeah, so I'm pretty much tightened up at that. "17 seconds in. And considering I've landed in a nice open space on bottom at lake, there's no obstructions, there's nothing there. That were a nice positive bite then. I think that's come straight back towards me. Here it has. 30 seconds in that one. So considering I've landed on a nice area, there's no real reason to worry about it. Just wait for them first initial few bites, and then it's fish on. Really positive way of fishing. It is just top kit fishing, just 13 metre out. The time it takes to get your fish back on rod and line, it's just a few seconds. The better F1, about a pound him I think. Yeah, he is about a pound. There you go. Just done an example that one. Oh, scored you. Good and proper that one. So about a pound him, decent sized fish. Scoop him back in. Oh, there we go. Leave behind when you pull a fish out your swim. There we go. 39 seconds in. The fish are feeding on all that loose feed between casts. Oh, it's fell off, Jamie. Perfect. So pretty much same place every time. Just need to counter that wind. Really pushing in from left to right now. So I need to make sure that that is not having an impact on where my feeder's landing. So I'm just going to tighten up to that. Watching my tip all the time. 10 seconds in. See, I know what. There we go. 13 seconds in that time, that fish. So don't ever worry about a strong wind or a really heavy chop on having an impact on how F1's feed. It's just presentation. So when you are fishing a pole, all these little tiny lifts at pole with wind and your rig, they probably won't take a moving pellet that's floating about and being lifted up and down every 5 seconds, as opposed to a nice static one shoved in a pile of micros. So it's just another approach which don't really get focused on a lot, but another 10-ounce fish that. When it comes to hooking fish up, I'm getting loads and loads of bites, I'm getting loads of fish, but I just feel like a smaller hook won't be in the way. Try that, because on that last, I had a fish then and absolutely ripped the rod around. Look, I've got a bite straight away, and I think a smaller hook is the way forward. I think I'll probably leave stopwatch running, but I think I'm not even going to bother with timing anymore. I've got a funny feeling those fish are they're just there waiting. I'll see if an 18 does anything. If not, I'll go back to a 16, where I'm more than confident the size 16 is what, when they're taking that 4mm pellet in, I feel like the 16, it's acting as a bit of an anchor, probably hitting fish's mouth on the take, and it's just stopping them from being able to really confidently take that hook bait into the mouth. So a 4mm pellet and a size 16 hook are really well balanced with the MCMBs from Preston. They're not a massive hook. Getting liner straight away there. That's on. 43 seconds that one. So not a great fish to go by for the example, because it took a while and feels a better fish, to be fair, as well. But I'm definitely going to give it probably 5 or 6 fish and see what happens. It does feel a better fish. Probably one of them pound F1's, this one. Again, just letting rod do work. Look, it's only a small rod, so I don't want to bully it, because you've only got probably top third at rod for fish play, and the rest of it is just solid rod. Definitely a better fish. Oh, wow. A little mirror. I think it's a little mirror. Again, just take your time with it. Last thing you want is to lose fish like this, because this is probably equivalent to 3 or 4 of those little tiny F1's we've been getting. Little mirror in, it'll do. Lovely fish. Yeah, probably just over a pound him. Not a massive fish, but definitely a welcome one. There we go. Definitely fish over there now. Reset my watch. Stopwatch started. Tighten up. There we go. There we go. That's on. 11 seconds, that one. So that's a good example to go by. Amazing. It's a better fish. Oh, another F1 in. Again, probably like 12 ounce, that one. I can even go to a bomb after if I want to. We're a bit lucky. So, reset my stopwatch. Tighten up to it. Just waiting for bites. There we go. Fish on straight away. 10 seconds, that fish. Nearly lost my rod to a goldfish. Oh, a better fish him. So he's just come up then with loads of weed around him, so it tells me that over on that far bank, a lot of these casts where I'm not getting many indications, it could be that they just feeders landing in lots of weed every time. He's a better fish, he's probably a good pound him. Oh, it's going mad. 18 there. Really quick fish that time. Hooking up well. So normally a small hook, they can only hook into, the gape in the small hook's not wide enough to get plenty of flesh on the fish's lip. But sometimes an 18 just gets in that sort of half depth at fish's lip and it can pull out really easily. It's not that the fish has come off, it's just pulled through the flesh of the fish's lip. Just because it's not hooked deep enough into the really secure meat around the lip. There we go. Reset my stopwatch and then watch for bites as I tighten up. Fish on straight away. So that was 6 seconds, I think, that one. Only a small one, but this is what we're here for. There we go. Honestly, I know I keep saying it, but they are just like piranhas in here. Just, you get it right, and they'll just take absolutely anything. See, that 18 looks absolutely spot on in his mouth. Because it's a small fish with a small mouth, the hook is actually hooked around the actual flesh of the lip in the hook on the fish. So all the lip is actually inside the gape of the hook. Whereas if you're fishing too small a hook for bigger fish, you're hooking them pretty much just in that first couple of millimeters of flesh on the lip. And that's why when you play a fish tip peg, then you start putting a lot of pressure on them underneath rod tip. Because you're basically under rod tip, you're playing them on reel. Unless you're fishing with right rod, or you know what you're doing, or you've got a nice loose drag. When you start pulling out a fish, it's because of that. You're just not got enough hook in them. So you have to find that balance. Straight in, tighten up. There we go. 5 seconds in. Waiting for a bite pretty much straight away now. There's a small indication. It's fish on feeder straight away. Fish on. 26 seconds in that one. That's what we want. Seems like a better fish as well. And for someone who's like not a long range feeder angler, but I do a lot of feeder fishing now, and I don't really do it on venues like this. It's normally reservoir fishing, big lakes. This sort of feeder fishing is a million miles away compared to what I'm used to. So look at that. No, I have to unhook him here, I do. He's about a pound. Decent sized fish, him. That's what we're after. Really quick weight builders. Dunk him back in. There we go. I know what I'm talking about. Don't you lot worry about me. I know what I'm about. Right, stopwatch, reset, start, tighten up. Whilst I'm tightening up, just watching for quick bites on tip. Indications. There's one straight up. There's another. So just lock up to my feeder, fish on. 17 seconds that one. And again, on a 6mm pellet this time, not a 4. God. Another F1. Absolutely amazing. I think this place, I don't know how far it'll be for you a lot. But if you search it, for me, it's literally right corner from my house. I live just a couple of villages that way. Open today ticket. They do annual permits. Lovely. Probably just under £1 him. They do annual permits. Loads of lakes to choose from. Quick squirt. And back in again. There we go. Straight down on your rest. First thing you do, get on your rest. Reset your watch. Fish on. And that was probably a second. Not even that. I couldn't really give you a better example. Seems like a better fish as well. I'm going right under peg then. Definitely a better F1, that's for sure. That's just how fast they can come. So you've got to make sure you are on the ball straight away. Oh, and he's unhooked himself. And that is a lovely fish to end on. So I'd probably say he's about £1. And that's what we're after. Loads of them. Really easy fishing. 4 and 6mm pellets, size 18 and 16 hooks, MCMBs, banjo feeder, and a 4-inch hook length. So I'll leave it there for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next one.